Good morning, everyone, and thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that introduction. It gives me a great pleasure to address this topic here, that is choosing the right electrode option for CI, that is cochlear implants, using Autoplan. So here I'm going to generally take you through the electrode design and electrode options that are available in the industry at the moment, and then we will jump on to the Autoplan to see how a pre-surgical planning software using the AI can address the issues such as cochlear duct length, choosing the right electrode options for all of that. Yeah, so I don't have to go into details of this because you're all very well aware of this. Cochlear implant is a medical option for individuals with severe to profound sensory neural hearing loss. And it has the internal parts and the external components. The part that we are going to talk about is the electrode array, which goes inside the cochlea, which is giving the electrical stimulation. Now, there are two concepts to address, which is also backed by scientific evidence. The concept that I'm going to talk about is complete cochlear coverage and why it is important. Cochlea is a tonotopically organized structure. This already has been well established in the literature. Each region of the cochlea has been tonotopically organized to respond best to a certain frequency. High frequencies in the base, mid frequencies in the mid region, and the low frequencies in the apical turn. 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is the human hearing range. But having said that, 70 hertz to 8,500 or 9,000 hertz hearing should give you a good understanding of speech and music perception as well. So when the electrode array is inserted, our goal is to cover the regions that are excitable neurally, because there are some spiral ganglion cells that respond best to these frequencies naturally in the system. So the idea behind choosing an electrode array is that suits the cochlea in terms of the duct length is to provide the complete cochlear coverage. Because if you were to have your first electrode, say over here, you insert it only from here to here, and the first electrode contact is sitting here. So that electrode contact, wherever it is sitting in the cochlea, the first contact will always take care of the lowest frequency provided. So say, for example, it is covering 200 hertz, and the 200 hertz is actually being presented at the 1000 hertz region. This is something called as place pitch mismatch. And this gives rise to a condition called, like, distorted understanding of speech, and music perception becomes dissonant because the quality of sound is not going to be natural. This was one of the complaints the older cochlear implant users, the ones that were implanted with shorter electrodes, have given, and there is a lot of research available on that as well. And the outcomes were slower when the place pitch mismatch is there. So if you were to look at the even the grand piano, if you were to sit only in this region, up to this region, you're essentially covering only up to the middle C, or the center of the piano. The rest of the frequencies are all going to be squeezed into the leftover whatever range that is there. That means this cochlea, if you stimulate all the way to the middle to the apical turn, you're providing complete cochlear coverage. That's what gives you closest to natural hearing. So this is one of the concepts that I'm going to talk about. So the electrode array should gently glide in and sit like that, so that it covers the entire cochlea. So this was touched upon by Himanshu sir as well. This is the study that is providing the scientific evidence. This is done by Professor Rask Anderson from Uppsala University, Sweden, and Professor Sumit Agarwal from Western University, Ontario. So the study has been carried out in Saskatoon in Canada, where they have used a synchrotron radiation facility. Just to give a basic reference, with CT scans that we are getting to see, 0.1 mm is the slice thickness that we generally can go all the way down to in normal CT scans that we see for subjects. That gives a lot of radiation exposure. But to understand the microanatomy, to understand the structures of the cochlea, in frozen cochlea, synchrotron radiation was done, so wherein they were able to go all the way down to 0.9 micrometers. So 1 micrometer is 0.001 millimeter. So that's the thickness you can go down to understand the vasculature and the neural structures that are there in the cochlea. So this study, the summary of this study, so anybody is interested, take a picture of this. This is the direct link to the study. It's already published online. And this study basically tells you that the spiral ganglion and the basilar membrane have same number of turns, and electrical stimulation has to go to the second turn to reach the excitable neural structures. So this study is an indication to support the concept of complete cochlear coverage. Right? So structure preservation is also very important when you choose an electrode array, because you're talking about covering the cochlea, but at the same time, we have seen the structures that are there. We are supposed to protect them as well. So structure preservation means you cannot have a tip fold over. You cannot have a scalar deviation. Sorry, this is a scalar deviation. Scala tympani is the intended site of placement. So the electrode array should remain in tympani all through basal, medial, and the apical turns. It cannot have a scalar deviation. The second thing is the tip fold over. So when you insert the electrode array, it should gently glide in. It should not fold over in any point because that causes accumulation of electrical current in one place, and it's going to render useless channels to you during mapping. So these two are not something that you need to do because this is not something which would preserve the structures. So Professor Rask Andersson from Uppsala University, Sweden, has very famously put, a deaf ear is not a dead ear. That means we need to preserve structures while inserting the electrode array to cover the structures that are available. Yeah. So electrode design should keep in mind of these things when the electrode is designed. It should have a tapered design. It should have flexibility in such a way that it is able to gently glide in and sit reliably inside the scala tympani and not deviate into any other scala. Wave-shaped wires and tapered tips, these are some of the factors that would preserve the structures inside the electrode, inside the cochlea. Different electrode arrays that are available. So these are different lengths that are available, right from 31.5 all the way down to 15 mm. So some of the electrodes are specifically made even for malformed cochlea with a cork-shaped structure like IP type 2, IP type 3. These are the ones with the enlarged vestibular aqueduct syndromes. They have a lot of gusher that comes out after the electrode is inserted and you're trying to seal. So you need to make sure the seal is properly done, so where the malformed cochlea can be addressed with cork-shaped structures. So this is general information of what is available in the industry today about the coverage provided by various electrode arrays. I just listed out all. Plus, when you choose a straight lateral wall electrodes which are flexible, the possibility of remaining in the scala tympani are higher. Another study here, which is telling you the outcomes, how fast the outcomes are when you are able to achieve the 2 turns of insertion. So cochlea, because it's a spherical structure, 1 turn is 360 degree, 2 turns is 720. So if you at least are in the vicinity of 630, 640, you're at least reaching a lot of the excitable neural structures. And that's what's showing you that faster outcomes are available when you reach more of the structures than the other structures. Other thing is telling you about structure preservation. Why is it important? Because when you deviate into another scala, there is new fibroossification and neuronal degeneration kind of changes are happening. When you deviate into, another scala starting from scala tympani, you deviate because you're mixing the fluids, that is the perilymph and the endolymph. And that happens, these are the changes that might happen. And this study has been published as well. So which electrode for which cochlea? That's the idea. When you look at the variability in shape and size of the structure of the cochlea, it is quite high. These are all different pictures again, telling you how the orientation can be different, how sizes can be different, how the anatomy can be different. So we need to understand the cochlear anatomy properly first. We need to take care of the parameters of the cochlea first to understand what insertion depth you're going to get. So in general, on an average, there is always a number, but that number is not good for everybody because cochlea is, like I said, it's a measurable entity. We need to measure it and we need to individualize it, individualize the treatment. That is what we are giving through a cochlear implant. So like I said, which cochlea for which one? Because like how human beings are very different from each other, cochlear shape and size is very different. This is a study which again is telling you how the cochlear duct length varies in people. It's not an absolute number like how blood pressure has to be 120 by 80. It's not like that. How everybody's thumbprint is different. Cochlear duct length is also different in everybody. So say you chose one electrode array and you inserted in cochlea A. It provides 603 degrees of insertion. I just said 360 is 1 turn, 720 is 2 turns. 603 degrees of insertion, the lowest frequency you're accessing is 158 hertz. So you're not bad, like you're at least covered a lot of the cochlea. Same electrode array, slightly bigger basal turn, it changes the coverage. It's only providing 438 degrees of insertion, and the lowest frequency is 562 hertz. The same electrode array, slightly bigger one, you're not even covering 1 turn. So one electrode array of a certain length is not going to be suitable for all cochlea. the coverage provided by that would vary in each of the people. This is a review of literature provided showing how A value, that is the diameter of the basal turn from the lateral wall of the cochlea to the round window. It is telling you how A value also varies in people, and across studies this data has been taken from. So that's where Autoplan comes into play. This is the AI-based tool. It is a Swiss-based company that has made, along with a metal company, wherein the pre-surgical planning can be done, where the DICOM files, once are shared, they get analyzed and parameters get measured. That is the A value, the height of the cochlea, the width of the cochlea. These values are put into the digital algorithm already fed into the software, which gives out the parameters of the cochlea, which means it tells us what is the cochlear duct length. So based on that, when we choose an electrode array, it tells us what electrode array is most suitable for what cochlear duct length. So this is basically showing you, like if you choose one smaller electrode array, what is the coverage you get? A bigger electrode array, what coverage you get? So depending on what you're looking for, say it is an EAS-based surgery, which is electric acoustic stimulation type of a surgery, where you don't want to cover the entire length of the cochlea, you only want to cover the high frequency regions where the dead regions are. So when you choose the electrode array based on this information, you're able to exactly preserve the rest of the cochlea and cover only what is required. Yeah, and post-operative assessment can also be done using this software. With the newest version of Autoplan right now, the X-rays also, digital X-rays also can be read, and wherein we can do a contact identification at each contact. Where is it sitting? At what depth of insertion it is sitting? What millimeters? And what is the frequency it is touching? So this information can be again applied into the software, which is the mapping software, and something more can be done, which is known as anatomy-based fitting. It's almost like bespoke tailoring. You're matching the real tonotopicity with the actual placement of the electrode contact, and you're changing the filter banks of the mapping software based on that. So this is what we have seen that this has given like subjective performance when you compare without the anatomy base and with the anatomy base. The difference has been perceived right away, like it's instant perception of difference. And using the software, you can also look at how the implant has been placed and all of that. Analysis and reporting. So all of this, whatever I said, it can be made into a report. Like whatever analysis is done, it gets made into a report and it gets sent to the surgeon who's doing the CI surgery, so they can make an informed decision pre-operatively itself. Plus, apart from that, hero robotic surgeries are already being done in Europe, and wherein the Autoplan is the first step for that. Obviously, you need to do all the 3D reconstruction of the ear. Virtual trajectory planning can also be done. So exactly the drilling time is reduced, and the trajectory is planned using the Autoplan. So Autoplan is the first step for that. That is possible with the software. Image fusion, you can overlay in cases where hypoplastic nerve cases are there or malformation cases are there. You cannot measure the parameters in malformation cases in Autoplan, but you can visualize CT and MRI files together. Also, pre-op and post-op files can be overlaid and can be looked at together. So that also is possible. So choosing the right electrode for CI, you need to preserve structures by choosing the right electrode design. Choosing the right place when you're inserting the electrode array, you need to make sure it is placed in the right place and stimulation is done at the right place and right time. So the last thing that actually helps is when you cover the entire cochlea, when you mimic the natural auditory system with your sound coding strategies, you're using the right stimulation rate. And these three together give the quality of sound which is closest to natural in terms of quality. So people wearing cochlear implants nowadays can actually be musicians, can be in any profession that they want, because there is no limit to that. Yeah. So just to summarize the take-home message, we have what nature has given us already, and the technology is available right now. We've gone all the way to artificial intelligence, but when you put these two together, that's when individualized treatment options come up, and that's what gives you superior hearing performance, or it is also known as the best benefit for each and every cochlear implant user. Thank you so much for your attention.
Well, we are open for any questions on the topic.
Sir, right now it is available with only the company. The files will have to be sent, DICOM files, wherein we do the parameter measurement and we send out the reports.
You brought out this term as personalized medicine is here to stay,
Yes,
and
sir.
precision medicine is also here to stay. These are probably attempts to individualize, like selecting the correct line, planning the trajectory, so on and so forth. Where do you see the future in this? That individual patient will actually custom order implant and come up. Is that the future?
Sir, actually, the different lengths of electrodes are already available. So when the electrode option, say, for example, somebody CT is done and their cochlear duct length is measured as, say, 32 mm or 29 mm. So based on that, one electrode that is already available, because different implants come with different electrodes. With like what I have displayed right here, all the implants that we have come with all the electrode options. So if patient A requires a specific electrode of specific length, it will not be like 29 mm CDL gets fitted with a 29 mm electrode. They'll be fitted with, say, 24 mm, because you don't want to go till helicotrema. You only want to reach the second turn. So those options are already there. So that's how we are individualizing. The next step is the anatomy-based fitting that I was talking about. Already after the electrode insertion, based on the pre-surgical planning, you already inserted the electrode of, say, 24 mm or 28 mm. Based on the post-operative CT, we identify the spots and we change the mapping that we do with the cochlear implants. So this is where we are taking it to an individualized anatomy-based kind of a fitting.
Thank you so much. Is there any likelihood of a navigation, real-time navigation system that anyone is working on and getting it as you introduce, like that famous Putin brings imagery?
Yes, sir.
That'll be
So that's a fluoroscopy, and
that's a fluoroscopy. I'm saying
actually
that, is there a real-time?
When the electrode array is getting inserted, if you were to project a cone beam, you'll be able to see it, but we haven't seen any software like that at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question, which is, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure, sir.
You're feeding the DICOM images.
Yeah.
And you're calculating the length of the electrode, where is the AI coming here?
So the AutoPlan software has the AI.
Can you just expand on that? Like, where does the intelligence come? It's calculating based on your images.
Yes.
So where is the data being interpreted via AI?
So if the slice thickness of the DICOM file, if it is less than, say, 0.6, say it is 0.5 mm, the moment you fed in the DICOM,
so if the images were good,
yes,
then you won't need AI?
No, sir. When you feed in a DICOM file of slice thickness, say 0.5 mm, AutoPlan software does the analysis on its own and chooses the electrode option also.
If I can just have the radiologist comment on this, is it?
So, as I understand, most likely it has a decision tree classifier sort of thing, where the data is extracted from the DICOM image, like all the values and everything, the turn, the angles, and the volume, everything. So all these parameters, or we can call it features or data points, are fed into this algorithm. So there are various ways where we can use it. Either we can use neural networks or the conventional SVMs or decision tree classifiers, and it will come to a, like, the output is, we want to say which of those 4 options we have: the smaller cochlear electrode, the bigger one, or the options like she showed around 10 options. So which is the best match? Yeah. It's like input is, this is the data set of the patient, and this is the outcome we are looking for. So which is the best match? So it is like a probability to come up key. This is 95% more like accurate or 50% accurate. So based on, you have
probably threshold. It's more of calculated rather than really AI being built in. Can I have Dr. Manshu?
We have been using it regularly for implants and for bone conduction, cochlear implants and for bone conduction implants. I find it more useful in bone conduction implant, where it tells us where to place it. Whereas in cochlear implanted, there's nothing much of artificial intelligence except for it matches the length of the cochlea to the length of the electrode, which can be done very easily manually because there are only four lengths of the electrodes.
9 lengths, sir.
Okay, 9 can also be done easily. So it's just a software which they are not providing to the institutes. I don't know why, because it should be given to the institute because it's very easy to calculate. You just have to figure out the center of the cochlea and rest is done by the machine itself. So my request is you should provide to the all cochlear implant centers so that they can utilize it themselves.
That's already under planning, sir.
And
Yeah, because
yeah.
a AI tool would tend to learn from data or tend to extrapolate from data or make a prediction which is not otherwise possible, which I somehow could not connect here. Maybe there's something more to it.
Yeah, this is a slightly different question. Saw some amazing images of the synchrotron. What are we going to do with it in future? I don't know whether you'll be answering that. Is it going to be the imaging modality for CI? Is it going to be a predictive tool looking at the number of rather neural elements which are present in the cochlea?
So probably because it's only done in cadavers, it can't be done in human, like live human beings. It's probably going to be used for a lot for research to understand more, like, about the surviving neural structures and all of that. Yes, sir.
Anything you want to add on this?
Primarily for it's basically a data set of dead the temporal bones. It cannot be used in a live patient because of the excessive radiation involved. So they will design the electrodes according to the data achieved, like now focusing on the vasculature and the neural structure. So how best the electrodes or the length of the electrodes is there and how many electrodes are required. So that is the primary aim. And it is copyrighted, so others cannot use it. So I don't know why it has been copyrighted again.